This is a special episode of State of the Game. In this episode, we'll be discussing a typical day in the WGLNA through the point of view of a team. The very first thing a team has to do in WGLNA is check in the day of the match. Checking in isn't difficult. It's basically just sending you a message on Skype or through other means, maybe cell phone, email, whatever you need to do. Get them a message telling them that you're going to be there. Make sure that broadcast time isn't going to be wasted. Pretty simple. Those generally have to be done by 5 p.m. at the latest of the day of the matches. Generally throughout the week, there's several things teams will do. Practicing. Most of the practices throughout the week is usually for prepping against teams that they're going to be playing. Sometimes you practice maps in general, sometimes you're practicing specific things that you expect to use during that week. For us, generally we practice maps in general. There are a few instances where if I think there's something that we need to work on, that I will definitely try to practice certain things, even if it causes us to lose our practice games. An example maybe we want to work on fighting for the hill on mines. If we get into a game on mines in a scrim, we see the team that we're playing, maybe their lineup is really good for taking the hill, our lineup maybe isn't so good. If I really want to practice for that, I'm going to send the guys hill still, and we'll just practice hill, no matter if we're going to lose it, most likely, or not. Other things that are done is typically watching the footage of the teams that you're playing against. You can use that, see if there's tendencies they like doing. Some teams use it for trying to counter the other team if they think the team is very predictable, or if they think the team's better than they are. Then typically they go through that and try to figure out a way to beat them. And that's typically either setting a trap for them or trying to get to a position before the enemy team gets to the position, just by straight up guessing that they're going to go wherever they are. This isn't a strategy I like using. I'd rather win based on being cohesive as a team, doing what you need to be doing, and not making mistakes. Countering does have some merit in some matches, but most time it's not good. An example of that would be if you saw Noble playing through the beginning part of the season on Himmelsdorf. They did the same exact thing probably 10 times. That would be easy to hard counter if you wanted to do that. I think they actually lost because people were starting to counter them, but that's an example of just countering somebody because you know exactly what they're going to do because they do it so many times. The last thing we do before our match starts is we meet up around 2 hours before the match actually begins, and we'll discuss the maps we're playing. We'll make some type of plan of what we're going to be doing on each map, how we want to play the matchup based on how the other team plays. Maybe we see that they're weak in brawling, or maybe they see something else out of their footage. We'll make some type of battle plan for that match, and it's basically just all the people talking about what's going on, what we feel comfortable with, what we want to try. So that's generally what we're discussing. If we want to bring out something new, or we just want to do the same old stuff. It depends on how important the match is, depends what team it is. But at this point, we already know the maps that we're playing, so let's actually go talk about map picking. Alright, all map picking is done at 7 p.m. Eastern. The first team will jump in first, do their map picking. First team being the team that plays first of that evening. And the second group of teams will do that. Third group of teams, fourth group of teams. Just go through, get mapping through. How it's actually done, it starts off with a coin toss. The winner of the coin toss can either choose to ban the first map, or they can choose to pick what side they want to play first. Now, how it actually works is Team 1 bans the first map. If they choose to do that, the second team would ban the second map. The first team again would ban the third map. The second team would ban the fourth map. So now you have 2 of the 6 maps left in the pool. Team 1 would then pick what map they want to play first, while Team 2 picks the side they want to play on that map first. and then Team 1 picks the side of the second map that they want to play first. Now, there's definitely strategy involved with map picking. A lot of it is in the first part of it about what maps you want to ban. A lot of it comes in by watching footage of the teams playing specific maps or getting their stats on the different maps, like how many times they won, who they won against, watching their replays. Like you'll figure out what maps you want to play them on based on what they've done previously or how you think they play on certain maps or that type of thing. If they're not a very good brawling team, then maybe you'll want to play them in Himmelsdorf or Mine, since those are more brawling maps than anything else. If you think they're a good execution team, then you probably don't want to play them on stuff like Steps or Runeberg or Lakeville. Those are more execution style maps. But generally that's how the banning phase goes. Also, teams may just avoid practicing a specific map and just not play that map altogether, and just keep banning that map every time they can, so they don't ever have to play it. So the goal of map picking is generally you want to get the maps that you should be playing will be the two maps that are kind of in the middle for both teams. You're probably never going to play your best map against a team. You'll probably never play your worst map against a team because you'll be banning it or they'll be banning it. Now, if you get two teams that both ban maps that are, kind of defensive bans, so they don't want to play those maps, then you'll get into situations where you might be playing maps you like rather than maps that are just kind of in the middle. The other part of strategy for map picking is what map and what side you want to be playing first. For example, if you're playing Runeberg or Steps or one of these other maps that's really easy to defend, it's really hard to attack on, if you play defense first on any of those maps, you have an advantage in that matchup because you should get 2 wins starting. There's a chance you lose one of those games, but most likely you should win twice if you don't screw up. So that gives you an advantage early in the match, and that gives you a chance to, So again, once we know what maps we're playing, we're going to warm up some, we're going to go over the maps and create a plan on the maps and what we're going to do. The next major part is tank picking before the match actually starts. Now, this is pretty simple. Basically, you get a minute, and in that minute you have to ready up your team. You can wait for your opponent to ready up your team if you want, and try to ready up stuff for that, but generally teams always ready up in the last 15 seconds, so you don't have a lot of time to switch in between tanks if you want to. So there's a little bit of strategy involved, but for the most part everybody just readies up stuff right before the game starts, so we don't have a lot of time to talk about each other's lineup, and we don't have time to really switch over into a different lineup based on what they brought. However, I would like the option of being able to strategize based on map pick or tank picking. An example would be, I've played in tournaments in the past where you pick 2 tanks at a time. So Team 1 would pick 2 tanks, Team 2 would ready up to 2 tanks, and as you're picking these tanks, you see what they're bringing, and you can adjust your lineup based off what they're bringing, and they can adjust their lineup based off what you're bringing. So I like that little bit of strategy involved in there. So it'd be like Team 1 picks 2, Team 2 picks 2, Team 1 picks 2 more, Team 2 picks 2 more, Team 1 picks 2 more, Team 2 picks 2 more, Team 1 picks 1, Team 2 picks 1. So you ready up all your 7 tanks, but you do it slowly and incrementally until they're all readied up. And like I said, it gives you time to discuss and change tanks based on what the other team's doing, and I like that little bit of extra strategy that would be involved in that. But for right now, nope, it's pretty simple. Just everybody readies up their tanks within that minute period, and generally they always ready up near the end. Alright, so the obvious next part after picking tanks is playing the match. Now we're actually going to upload a video on our comms during a match. When I post this, I'll probably put a link in the bottom so people can watch that video too and maybe understand how we play a match. Can't really go into depth really about it, but you should understand more by watching the video. So the main thing is, win or lose, doesn't matter if we're angry or happy, right after the map, we always want to go and break down the match and discuss the match while we still have it fresh in our minds. If you wait till the next day, a lot of times you're going to forget the situations that you're in. You're not going to remember like what the calls and stuff were. It's best to do it while it's still fresh in your mind. That way you can discuss it. People might be hot-headed still if they like screwed up or got yelled at or something, but for the most part, if people are adults about it, it shouldn't be any issue. You don't want to make the same mistakes twice, so make sure you're going over them when everybody still knows what's going on. And that's basically it for a day of tanks. Once we're done with the breakdown, starts the next week. Go back, practice on some maps, look at the next teams you're playing, continue on, just like that.